There we go. So some people were not able to come, and we welcome you to the recording. But in the meantime, this is live. If Noemi, Cece, Ruthann, Jan, and Andras want to switch on their cameras, they can do. It's always nice to see people and to see the human beings represented in 2 dimensions. Hello, Jan, welcome, and
Hi.
everybody else. So this session, in case you haven't been before, starts off with me sharing a couple of ideas, and then usually that develops into discussion. Quite often we go into breakout rooms and get to know each other a bit and maybe play some games, and people share ideas with everybody else. So that's the way it goes. And I usually have a starting point. And my starting point for today is that I've been continuing to develop ideas for some sessions that I'm running in the summer with some Italian students, actually, who are coming over to Norwich. And now let me just check my notes on them. Yeah, so they have dyslexia. They have different degrees of dyslexia. So they have some trouble with reading and writing. But one of the reasons they're coming is to learn some English and also to take part in activities. And usually I play lots of games with them out on the grass because, of course, it's summer in July when they come and usually nice weather. So we do lots of running around and fun drama games. But I have been asked by the teachers this time to see if I can teach them a bit more English through the games. So at first I was a bit challenged by this, even though I shouldn't be because it's kind of what I do for a living. But I do really enjoy playing the drama games with the Italian teenagers in the summer because I think they like to let off steam and have lots of fun. So so my idea is that we're going to do both. We're going to play those exciting, energetic games, and I'm coming up with some ideas for adapting them as well. So let me share my screen with you and talk about some of my ideas for you to feed back on. So one of the things that the teachers wanted me to talk about was prepositions of place. So I've written some of the most popular ones here. In, on, under, next to, behind, in front of, between, above, and below. Okay. Have I missed any important ones out? Can anyone think of any that should be in there? Got in, on, under, next to. Could have outside, maybe. We've got
Inside?
and inside.
Mm.
Yeah, there we go. So I don't need too many, but my idea was that we could start off with the teenagers working in pairs, maybe to make a circle, but around the circle, each person has a partner. And we could ask them to take one preposition at a time and try to show it with their partner. So some of them are easy, like next to or behind, and they can practice saying, I am behind Luigi or whoever they're standing behind. I am between Luigi and Cesar, so whatever the names are. So that's very simple, obviously. But I think with these kids, it's quite important to give them a bit of vocabulary before you start using it in a game. So after this, I thought that a really good activity to do in terms of prepositions is my game of 3D living pictures, where you show them a picture and then you basically get them to recreate the picture. Let me just find an example for you in my website. Hang on. Right, so some of you may know what I'm talking about already. Some of you may not. So let's just find it in the website. Here we go. So if we take a picture like this, it's brilliant because you've got so much action going on for drama, but then you've immediately got lots of prepositions. And what I do is I ask everybody to choose an object or a person or an animal in the picture, and then they step into the space. Usually we project this, or you could have a big picture on the wall, and they say, I am the fireman's ladder. Okay, so they could be the ladder. I am the ambulance driver, you know, or I am the lady looking out of the window. And therefore you've got prepositions like I am inside the house, I am behind the fire engine, all of that. So what do you think of those ideas, folks?
Yeah, that's good. It's easy.
Nice and easy prepositions.
Yeah, it's a good one to start with, I think.
And you can certainly lead into things like thought tracking. So then the teacher can tap the students on the shoulder and they can say what their fireman or their character is doing or what they're thinking. And you can bring the scene to life by clapping your hands. So these are quite simple things that are on my website. We've talked about them quite a lot. So there's a game. I think that's great for prepositions. So I've got another game that I've kind of invented this morning for giving directions. So it's based on another drama game, and I'm going to explain that game to you and then talk about how I've adapted it. So the drama game I'm talking about is, well, it could be called Ships in the Fog. Ships in the Fog. I can't remember the exact title, but that would do. And the idea is you get the class to join up as pairs, and then each partner goes to the opposite end of the space. Inside the space, you put some obstacles. For example, you might put some chairs, you might put a table, anything that will break up the space. Then, oh yeah, before they go to the opposite end of the space, the pairs have to agree some secret sounds between them. So, for example, if they want their partner to go straight, they might go beep, 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 beep. If they want their partner to turn left, they might go do, 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 do. And if they want them to turn right, they might go do, dee, do, dee. So they make up different sounds. All right. So once they've got these sounds and everybody's got different ones, you send them to the opposite ends of the room. And one of the partners is blindfolded. All right. And the other one has to guide them through the obstacles. Has anyone played this game before? It's a great game, really good fun. Now, normally I would demonstrate it with one person, one pair at a time. And then once they have understood it, you can actually have 2 or 3 or more pairs going through the obstacles at the same time. And that's when it gets challenging because you've got 4 people all making different noises, and the people who've got blindfolds on are having to listen very carefully for their beeping sound or whatever sound, their raspberry sound or whatever it is that they've agreed on. Okay. Any questions about that game before I move on?
Do they have to, the idea of the game, they have to reach their partner, the partner who was given directions, right?
Exactly. I forgot to mention that bit, but that's it.
Yeah.
So they have to reach their partner. And you could make it into a competition, but it's not essential. the main thing that you will find if they are wearing blindfolds is that they have to move very slowly and they have no idea where they are. Once the kids have their blindfolds on them, the teacher can move the chairs around so the kids don't know where the obstacles are. Okay. All right. So this is my adaptation for giving directions, learning to give directions. So what we need to do is to draw some pictures of different places in a town or city. And the ones I've got here so far are cafe, station, castle, bridge, traffic lights. So the kids could spend some time, you can give them the pictures or they could make the pictures and write the word underneath. Then those people will be the kind of obstacles. And this time, instead of using beeping noises, they have to use language. So they split up and we start with one partner or one pair, and one partner is going to give instructions, but they have to, this time, instead of not bumping into things, they have to visit places with their eyes open, okay? But they are robots and they can only move when they are given instructions. So they can start off, like that, and then their partner can say, go forward, and they go, woo, 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 woo. Stop, turn left, do, stop, go forward, do. Do you see what I mean? So they have to actively give instructions, otherwise the game won't work. So for example, the first time you could, so they've gone to the opposite ends of the room. It's hard to do this without kind of like actually getting up and doing it. But then once they're at the other end of the room, you get say 5 kids who are the cafe, the station, the castle, the bridge, and the traffic lights, come and stand in the space, and you space them out a bit. And then you say, right, I want you to visit the cafe and the castle before you get to the other end of the room. Okay? Do you get the idea? So then you could do it with one pair, and then of course you could do it with more than one pair at a time. Okay, I've never played this, and I thought that you could also have more than one pair at a time, but going from opposite ends. Yeah? Okay. So what do you think of the game? It's never been played. Can you think
It
of any?
Sounds
interesting.
Yeah. I think it will work. There's a limit to how many kids can do it at the same time because of they need to hear the instructions.
Yeah. But you can have the other lot sitting around in a circle and watching them.
Yes.
And observing them.
Yeah, definitely.
But if there are many kids, maybe some of them can make a forest or something else.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or a fence.
We could have lots of obstacles, couldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you give me some more ideas for names of places in a city or town that I can add in?
Hospital.
Hospital.
Library. Yeah. Museum.
What was that?
Museum.
Yeah.
Like
a church.
Church, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Police station.
Post office.
Yeah, police station.
Post office, yes. Nice.
A grocery store? Do you have like a specific grocery store also?
What was that, Priyanka?
I was saying grocery store.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
So I did a game, not very similar to what you're doing, but I gave one of the child a remote control, a play remote control, and I said all the others in the class are robots. So the child gets to so I gave him a list of instructions like, okay, robots 2 steps forward, then 2 steps back, robots bend, robots lean back, robots only head move to the left, or the hands move up only. So this is a game I played, but this is in a very different direction. But that is also a very good game, and a lot of children can play at one time.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to your ideas, and I was just thinking that you could give them tasks like, for example, collect a letter from the post office.
Yeah, a purposeful like direction, right? That
Yes,
can be
that's
done.
it. So they actually, maybe the post office has, you know, a number of pieces of paper as letters, and they can give them to the robots if they visit. And with the bridge, I thought that that could be 2 students, and the robot has to cross the bridge from one student to the other. So sounds complicated. I think it could be set up. I like the idea of giving commands to more than one person at a
Yeah.
time. Didn't it turn a bit chaotic,
No,
Priyanka?
the thing is that robots were not moving a lot. So it
Ah,
was not a game that they were going everywhere in the room. So they all were standing in rows, like those Chinese army that we have soldiers, right?
Oh,
yeah.
So they were standing in rows, and everybody gets a turn to come out and
Oh,
have the remote control in their hand. And then the instructions with not a lot of movement, restricted movement. Because
so I'll just write this down. Priyanka idea of remote control.
and they love it. So I had my son's old video game remote control. I take it along, and they really like it. And they're like, they press the buttons like as if, yes, they are the ones who are moving the robots. It's quite fun.
Oh, this is great. So
Yeah.
yeah, you obviously can get them to bend down and maybe pick something
Yes.
up. And
Bend down, only the head moves to the right. Now, robots, move your head to right. So only the head is moving. Okay, robots, only hands go up, only right, only left. So
excellent.
yeah,
So
so
yeah.
they really,
So
little ones, they really like it. Till grade
and,
1, yeah.
what else was I going to say? Instructions for parts of body moving. Yeah. Okay, well that's good. There you go. You see, we've got at least 2 different games there to play. So I've got a game for giving directions. I've got a game for prepositions. One of my games that I think is good for language learning and language practice is What Are You Doing? Do you know this game?
yes.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Yes.
So when I've played it before with the Italian teenage students who have dyslexia, I found that I had to introduce the language patterns and structures first of all before they could play the game. So I thought they could do something simple, like first of all, they're in pairs. I know that they're learning names of food, so I put down some food that probably would be popular with teenagers. And so they could mime. So one person mimes, you know, eating some chips, and the other one says, "What are you doing?" "I am eating chips." "Are you eating chips?" "No, I'm not." Or "Yes, I am." Yeah.
Or
Pictures of food could be helpful for those, because some of the kids don't have much English language. Yeah. And then this would lead into the game itself, which is that, let me just come out of sharing for a minute. It's a bit boring looking at that all the time.
you want to do it with me?
Yeah. So go on, Josie.
Okay.
Okay, so imagine that Josie and I are next to each other. You can play it in pairs or you can play it in a circle. So I'm going to start off doing something. I think we need to move away from our screens, Josie.
Yeah.
So what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to start off doing something. For example, I might do this. And
I
Josie says,
"What are you doing?"
"I am reading a newspaper." And now
Okay.
Josie has to pretend to read a newspaper. Then I say, what are you doing?
I'm eating spaghetti. What are you doing?
I am running in a race.
Okay.
What are you doing?
I am knitting.
Okay. Oh yeah, I do know how to knit actually.
What are you doing?
I am, looks like I'm eating spaghetti as well, but I'm not. I'm knitting this time. I am eating an ice cream.
Okay. Anyway, we get on like that.
So I think we've demonstrated the game. Has anybody, is that new to anybody? Priyanka, have you played that before?
Nobody
Or
seems to.
anybody else? Okay, so it is a great game, and I think we could actually play it in a breakout room because it's a bit boring listening to me talking all the time, and you can get to chat to each other. So how about that? Shall we go into breakout rooms? Now, before we do,
I played this game, sir. I did play it, but not in this way. The children were saying actually what they were doing, but this is on
yes,
another level.
Me
This
too.
is like,
Me too.
that's
You're
right.
supposed to, yeah, you're
what are
supposed
you
to
doing?
lie.
But
So
the
yeah,
only, but only twist what I was to do is the one who is asking the question, what are you doing, has to put in an emotion. So either, what are you doing, or what are you doing, or what are
yeah,
you
you do,
doing?
yeah.
So yeah, so emotions in the question. The question, so the what should have an emotion attached to it. That is what I did.
That's
So
really good. I like that. It adds
Mm.
in another
then
layer.
then it is like, if you are too inquiring, what are you doing, or
Yes.
uh are you very tired, then what are you doing? So
Yeah.
that is, but I love it. I am excited to go back and do this in school.
I'll tell
My
you what,
children.
it is so funny.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
There
is
is a
super.
video of it on my website, which shows playing it in a circle.
Yeah.
But what's funny is when it goes wrong,
Yeah.
because sometimes people say what they are actually doing,
Actually,
or the other thing is they've got an idea in their head and they do that. So they think, oh yeah, Josie was just playing the piano, but I've got to play the piano. But in fact, they do something else like climbing a mountain, because that's the thing that they were going to say next. So as soon as that happens, as soon as somebody makes a mistake, you can start again. Okay. The other thing I was going to do with the Italian students is to maybe play it in the correct way, first of all, so they are
Mm.
actually doing the activities
Yes, I am.
before we add in that extra layer, because it is, a challenge. So how about I divide people into breakout rooms, and I'm going to divide you into groups of about 4, and see if you can play this game and also, have a few minutes to say hello and find out about each other. So let me just work out how many people we've got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm going to make 4 rooms maybe, or should I make 5? No, 4 rooms I'll make. And I'll see you in about 5 or 10 minutes, maybe
Right.
10. If you get stuck, I'll come into the rooms. Hmm. Right, well, everybody else should be back in a few seconds. They get 1 minute. Yeah, okay. Here they come. Here they all come, tumbling back to the main screen. Okay, I hope you all got a chance to try the game out. And I think I visited one room, and one point was made, which is that actually the game is quite hard to learn, especially on Zoom. But I think when you teach it face to face, it's a lot easier because you can demonstrate it. And as I said, with younger kids or those students with lower level of English, you can do the straight version of it. First of all, what are you doing? I'm eating chips. Yeah. What are you doing? And they'd have to choose different activities. But I don't know. It's good if you don't have to do that part. Okay, so before I go on to talk about some of my other ideas, does anybody have any questions, concerns, or things that they wanted to mention to me? Because I always like to welcome ideas and questions from people in the group.
So we did in a circle this kind of game. So Jan proposed to do that in the circle.
Yeah, so the good thing about this game is you start off with a circle. If you've got a very big group, you can then break it into 2 circles so that you've got 2 games going on. But let's say you play it in 1 circle first of all, and then you watch everybody. If you've got 30 students, it takes a long time to get round, and student number 30 will get very bored.
Yes.
So that's why I like to divide them into smaller groups if there's a large number. Once they've played the game a few times and you are sure that they understand the rules, if they have good language ability, then you can play it in pairs. And this is really challenging, but it's really fun. If they've got good level of English, then it means that they have to come up with ideas very quickly. If they have more basic level, then it's a good idea to have the words or ideas on the wall or pictures of activities that they could do, just to remind them. Yeah.
I did this in a school, a primary school, and we used the textbook because they were doing like jobs, for instance, and we didn't do it in a circle. We just did it as the class was done. It was very traditional, sort of row by row. But the person doing the action would come to the front, and that worked quite well as well, actually, to be honest.
That's good. Thank you. And also, you could just have each child stands up at their seat and does it.
Yeah, but
that would work. Yeah, great point. Thank you very much. All right, then. Well, I'm going to share with you some of my other ideas, and let's see if I can share some that are new to you. Right. Yes, let's see. So this is a very popular game, and I hope that some of you have already played it. There's different names for it. One of the names is Anyone Who. All right. I sometimes call it Who Likes. And the idea is that everybody stands in a circle and there's one person in the middle, and that person wants to get out of the middle and either sit. If they're sitting on chairs, you leave one chair empty. Okay. So the person in the middle says something like, anyone who likes ice cream. And then everybody who likes ice cream has to stand up and move to a different chair across the circle. And the person in the middle tries to sit down. Therefore, someone else is left in the middle, and then it's their turn to say, Who likes dogs? Who likes chocolate? Now that's the simple version, but you can make it more complex. So you can introduce other language structures, such as anyone who has been to, all right, anyone who has been to the museum, anyone who has been to France, you know. So you can change the structures according to the level of the group. Anyone who is allergic to, for more advanced learners, yeah? Anyone who would like to, anyone who hates, anyone who has a sister, a brother, a dog, okay? So it's very versatile. And each time you just make one statement, people then cross the room to try and get to another chair, and the person in the middle tries to sit down. Okay? Do you know that game, anybody? One or
It's like
two?
music. It's like music chairs. Yes.
Yeah, a
Similar.
little bit like that. Except it's with statements. So it uses language quite a lot. And also, the main reason for this game is that it's for getting to know each other. So yeah, so the person in the middle in this game should not be telling a lie. So if they say anyone who has been to the moon, they can't say that because they haven't been to the moon unless they are an astronaut. But they could say anyone who has been to the movies in the last month, for example. So that's the idea. Another structure you can use, which is quite helpful, is anyone who is wearing jeans, anyone who is wearing blue, you know. So you've got all these different structures, and it's quite a quick game. So health and safety.
I have a
announcement.
question, sorry.
Yeah,
But
I'll just say this first of all, and then I'll come back to you, Rosaria. Just that if you are sitting on chairs and you have a lot of action, people crossing, they can bump into each other or even knock a chair over when they try and sit down. So usually I don't use chairs. I just have everybody standing in a circle, and then they have to try and get to another gap. Okay. Right, Rosaria, what was your thought?
Yes, but about the questions that the kids do. So there is a list that they pick from cards, or how do they come up with this question? Because they have to learn the language. So they.
So this would work, for example, if you did a lesson on food.
Okay.
Yeah. So then you could play the game. Anybody who likes chips, anybody who doesn't like ice cream. Yeah. So they do need the vocabulary. You're absolutely right. But you can use it after you have taught them a particular category of vocabulary. Obviously, if it was adults learning English or working in their own language, then you can have anything.
So I do a version of this game, but like not exactly this one, but it's called Raise Your Hand. So it's like I do most of the talking. It's like the very initial game when they have come to a new session has started and they barely know each other. Then so raise your hand. All those who like cookies, raise your hand. So you have to raise your hand, look around and say cookies. And so you look around and see everybody who likes cookies. And okay, raise your hand if you're a football fan. And you raise your hand and you say football, and you look around. And I always say, do eye contact and find out who have similar likings like you. So, I mean, it is a noisy room, but it is fun to just break the ice, be there. And I do most of the talking in this. They just say those words. So
That's a great version. Yeah, really nice.
So
really good
they
for
have
getting to know.
it's a noisy one. It's extremely noisy, I'm telling you, but it's a good one. It just preps them down and they are ready to, like, because the similarity strikes in, oh, okay, like you also like ice cream. Then I talk flavors of ice cream and who likes pretzels and who likes cakes and yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
yeah, so it's called Raise Your Hand. All cooked
Raise
up
your
names.
hands. Yeah. That's great.
All
Well,
right.
as I say, there's lots of versions of this game,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
like that one. Thank you.
I like the one you're saying. I will use this. This is
Yeah.
really for little advanced students who can quick thinking, 6, 7 years old.
Mm,
Yeah, they can, anybody above that age can do this well.
great. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to share another game with you. So let me see. I'm going to give you no, let's do person to person. This is quite good. So what happens in this game, you do need a space, or you can play it outside if you're in India or somewhere like that, and you've got space outside. So in the space, everybody gets into their own space, and then they walk around the space, and you call out person to person. That's the name of the game, okay? And when you say person to person, they have to find a partner. All right. So everybody tries to find a partner. If there's a group of 3, that's okay. Doesn't really matter. And you just do this a couple of times, and they get a partner, and then you say, all right, go or walk, and they walk off again, person to person, and they have to find a new partner. Now, this time, you're going to call out 1 or 2 parts of the body, and they have to join those parts together so that you say person to person, hand and foot. And so one partner has to touch the other person's foot. Or you could say back to back or shoulder to knee, And this is obviously a really great game for learning about parts of the body. It's very physical. You can only play it if everybody is happy with being touched. So it's important to make sure that that's okay, first of all. But if they don't have any worries about that, it can be really funny. And you can say things like nose to nose or belly button to belly button. Yeah. Fingertip to ear. So I would have to touch somebody else's ear. And if they wanted, they could touch my ear as well. All right. But what you do is normally, it's a getting to know you game. So you just do like one thing. So you don't do finger to ear, and they all do that. And then you say, and go. They walk off around. You say person to person, and they have to find a new partner. And then you quickly call out the next thing. All right. So it's a really great, funny movement game and action game for learning body parts. Any comments or questions about that?
Yes, me again. Ha. I think that's a great way of doing it. But I usually do just with one part of the body. So knee, person to person, right knee, and then they have to touch each other's right knee, something
Okay.
like that. So if you want to start simply, you could do that way. But then if you want to do round 2, for instance, you could do what you were saying, hand to knee or whatever. I like that, actually. It's very nice.
Well, it's quite funny when you start saying things like big toe to nose, for example, because people have to, bend over and grovel on the floor and stuff like that. And I try and, if they've got good language, I like to try and catch them out by saying things like chin to shin. Yeah. Shin obviously is part of your lower leg, and chin is your chin. So for some people learning English language, it can be quite difficult to know the difference between chin and shin. They sound very similar. Okay. Okay, let's do one more game as that one seems to be understood. And oh yeah. So this is another game to do with the questions that the teachers asked. The teachers said, we will be teaching the Italian students how to discuss things and agree and disagree. So immediately I thought of this game, which is very easy to understand, and it's called Where Do You Stand? So the idea is that you have the students around the space, and at one end of the space you put a sign saying agree, and at the other end of the space you have a sign saying disagree. Okay, they can be on just pieces of paper on a chair, all right? And then you read out a statement. For example, I prefer cats to dogs. And the kids or students have to decide where to stand. Some of them will agree, I really prefer cats to dogs. Others will go to the other end because they prefer dogs. Others like cats and dogs, so they stand in the middle. Others don't like either, and they will also stand in the middle, all right? So that's the start of it, and I always start with that cats and dogs one because that is easy to understand, and also everybody has an opinion on cats and dogs, I find. And then what you can do, if they have a good level of language, you can ask them why they are standing where they are. So I prefer cats because they curl up and they are very loving, for example. Or I prefer dogs because they are my best friend and I like to run around with them. All right. So you get people to express opinions. And then obviously you can take that in any direction you want. So it could go into sort of social sciences. So it could be, for example, I think it's okay to take my friend's pen without asking. Do you agree or disagree? All right. If I see somebody being bullied, I will run away. Agree or disagree? Yeah. So you can bring up kind of things to discuss. If I see somebody homeless in the street, I will give them some money. Do you agree or disagree? So obviously I've given you a few different statements there, some for adults, some for kids. But it's a way into playing a game where they have to talk about agreeing and disagreeing. And the other thing about that game, which is great, is that everybody has to make a decision, even if they stand in the middle, and you can ask them why. So if you say to the whole class, who likes cats? Who likes dogs? You know, you don't get the same physical representation like a bar chart. You know, it's like a very clear and obvious thing. Another level that you can use, or another approach within the game, you can ask people to talk to other people who are near them and ask them why they made that decision. All right. So why do you like dogs, or why do you hate cats? You know. So there we go. That's another game. Any questions on that game or comments? Uh-huh.
I think this one you can use for a lot of environmental issues. Should we save water? I mean, is it okay using plastic all the time? Just use it, throw it,
Yeah.
or what do you recycle? We should recycle, or
Yeah.
a lot of environmental issues can be asked through this game. I really like this one.
Yeah, that's right. So it's really good for any kind of discussion like that.
Yeah.
Another way that I've used it, if you are telling a story, then the kids can be characters in the story. So let's say I always use Red Riding Hood as my example because everybody knows it. So let's say you choose a character, or you tell the children which character they are, the wolf, Red Riding Hood, the granny. So you could say, I like living in the forest. And then the wolf would probably agree, you know. Red Riding Hood probably would disagree. Maybe she likes walking in the forest, so she might be somewhere in the middle. Grandmother probably doesn't like living in the forest. Yeah. I like living in a house. Agree, disagree. I think that it's okay to talk to strangers in the forest. Do you agree or disagree? Do you see what I mean? So what's different about this version of the game is that the students are not giving their own opinions. And sometimes for teenagers, it can be really embarrassing to say what they think about something. They want to be cool, you know, and they don't want other people to know what they think. So it's good if you can play this game with a story. Can anyone think of some other stories where you could use this game? Or films? Could be film characters.
Cinderella, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Snow
Yeah.
White.
Yeah. And obviously with Harry Potter, you know, and any novels that you're reading as well. So
The Wizard of Oz.
yes, definitely.
With Gruffalo too.
Gruffalo, yeah. And also, if you've got a course book, then you could use this to respond to a piece of text.
Absolutely.
So let's say, I don't know, what might you be learning about? The city of Edinburgh, for example. Maybe you read a text about the city of Edinburgh in Scotland. And in Edinburgh, you can find mountains. Do you agree or disagree? In Edinburgh, you can find bagpipes. Do you agree or do you see what I mean? So that kind of thing.
Chapter recap can be like a good recap can be done by this game. Like you did a topic with the children and you come back, play this game, you know exactly where they're standing, how
Yeah,
much they remember from the last class.
yeah,
Or also a character sketch can be done through it, that how much the children are understanding the character that you want to present. I mean, you know,
yeah.
a lot of
Excellent.
character sketch can be done through this game too. For this
What did you say?
older one.
Corrective? I didn't understand exactly the
So
words you said.
sketching the character, I mean, so if it's a Gruffalo, how is Gruffalo as a character?
Aha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
character sketch.
how is
Yeah.
character? Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. That's really good. Another way that you can play this game, instead of using the signs, you can put a rope on the floor, and one side is agree, one side is disagree, and they can jump across for agree and disagree. So it's just a different version.
So
Yeah.
for agreeing and disagreeing, we also say pizza pasta. So we say we just keep a rope. There's a game we play. It's called pizza pasta. So if you agree, you say pizza. If you don't agree, you say pasta. So pizza pasta, pizza
Pizza
pasta.
pasta. Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. Pizza pasta. I like that. Okay. All right. Any last things that anybody wants to mention, ask about? So we've got 2 minutes left in our meeting. Have you learned some good games today?
Definitely. But
Yeah.
it just
Who
reminded
can
me of another
remember
game.
what? Sorry,
Yeah, it
Svetlana.
reminded me of another game that I sometimes play with the kids, especially if it is like a summer camp and they meet for the first time and they don't know each other. We call it a name game or whatever you can call it. So the idea is they move around like just in a space in a room, in an empty room. They have to walk around, and while they see each other like eye into eye, they have to shake hands. And the first time they say their name, for example, they say, hello, my name's Svetlana, and you say, hello, my name's David, right? And then after that, you are Svetlana and I'm David. So I bear your name, you bear mine. And then the next person you see and meet, you shake hands and you say I'm David, you say I'm Svetlana, right?
Yeah.
And the game stops only when you meet your own name. So when you meet your own name, you sit down already, you finish the game. So it's actually a great game because you also have to concentrate that your name is not your name anymore, that you bear some other people's names every time it is different, and it's good fun.
That's really good, because I think quite often in those name games, people don't really listen to the name.
Yeah,
and this means they
time
have to listen.
They
They
have
have to be able to pronounce it
Mhm.
and remember it. So that's really good. I like that. I think that's great. And that's a good one to end on, I think. So thanks very much, everybody, for coming along today. It's great to see you. And we do this every month. Sometimes I invite everybody, sometimes I invite just the people on the Inspiring Drama Teacher course, which you are welcome to join if you have not already. And of course, don't forget the website, dramaresource.com. Thank you very much.
Thank
See you
you.
again soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, David.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.